Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Find that thing you love to do. Why does the government not do this for you? No, I'm not a poet. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. The meaning of life. Find that thing you love to do. Are you with somebody? Find that person you love to be with. I had a friend of mine. She said, we were talking about love and all that stuff. And she says to me, Kevin, what better feeling than to wake up next to the person that is your best friend and the person you love the most in the world? And that was like the most romantic thing of description of, a relationship I'd ever heard. I was like, well, that's a great way to put that. Find that thing you love to do. I'm not speaking in the carnal way, even though, hey, it works that way too. But here's my bigger question, and I said it earlier. Why does the government not want this for you? Why does the government not do this for you? The government doesn't seek to help you out in any way to discover that thing that you love. You know what that would mean? That would mean discovering your individuality. That would be discovering what it is that drives you. Parents do it, right? They try. Parents try to help their kids find something that they can really gravitate to. And you may try a lot of things. You may be that parent that says, okay, for example, with a little boy, you may put him in football, basketball, soccer, martial arts, baseball, in hopes that he'll find something he likes. Are you counting on the idea that he's going to be a super athlete in any of those things? Not necessarily. What you're doing there is building esteem and rounding him out, trying to get a feel. Maybe you put him in camps and you put him in robotics camp, or you put him in physics camp, or you put him in art camp. You're just looking, you're fishing. Or you might get lucky and that little kiddo says, you find out they got a really nice, they got a great way of, I think art is natural. I think people just, either you have it or you don't. Maybe that's what they do. Or maybe you find out they're very, they're just outgoing and so you want to put them into some sort of a theater camp. Or they're really into dance. Maybe they tell you what they like because they think they do. How many of your kids have said, I want to do this thing. I want to, please put me in. And you put them in there and then they don't like it. So it's trial and error. Some parents succeed at it. Some parents don't. You indulge your children. If you do put them in something, you make them believe that they're the next big thing. They're the next big athlete. They're the next big actor. Their art is the most amazing art you've ever seen. But the good parents tell their kids, you better have a backup plan just in case you mess up your knee. Just in case you turns out you're not the best artist or the best hairdresser or the best whatever. Have a backup plan. Well, artist or athlete for the most part, right? Hairdresser is a backup plan for a lot of people. Bartender is a backup plan. You're not going to be on tour making millions of dollars. You're not going to be in the movies. You're going to be a waiter waiting on a casting call for the most part, if you choose that, and that's okay. If you love it. See, here's the thing. We've studied all kinds of things in America. Go look at the waste that has occurred over the last 4 decades in government, studying the mating habits of the Australian newt, whatever, the most crazy things you can imagine spending money on. And with all the studies that have been done, nonsensical for the most part, one would think we would know how to help people decide what they want to do in life. There are only finite choices for things you can do in life. Do you understand what I mean by that? For example, doctor, lawyer, accountant, teacher, first responder, whether you're a firefighter or a police officer, you go into the military, maybe you're a mechanic, maybe you're an artist, maybe you are an entertainer, a singer, a dancer, whatever. Name them all. And when you get to about, 2,000, you're probably going to run out. So the only thing about that 2,000, because that's the number of careers, and I'm just guessing at this, but let's say it's 5,000 careers. Of those 5,000 careers, make it 10,000 just to be on the safe side. You know what? We're friends. I'll give you 100,000. There's 7.5 billion people in the world who are going to do one of 100,000 jobs. Now, That being said, you would think that we would have some sort of a study that says people that think like this or have this type of a character trait tend to be good engineers and enjoy it, tend to be good doctors, tend to be good mathematicians, tend to be good economists, tend to be good janitors. With all of this data, they can't say to a kid, hey, you would probably love carpentry. You'd be a good engineer, or you'd be a good whatever. Is it because nobody would pick janitor? Can you imagine they map your personality and they say, janitor, you're very good in the custodial arts. No, I want to be an engineer. No, you're going to be an amazing janitor. Would anybody pick it? I don't know. I don't have a problem with janitors. I really don't. I know we use that as sort of the baseline for, you could be a doctor or you could be a janitor. The point I'm making here, folks, the meaning of life. Isn't that what we're all looking for? Isn't that what we all want to discover? I told you guys before, I would hear back in the TV, the days of the 70s, and they'd say things like, I just want to find myself. I'd see all these TV shows and some teenager with angst would go, I just got to get away and find myself. And I would be, find yourself. There's an old saying, what do you mean you want to find yourself? Life is about creating yourself. It is about expanding your experiences so that you understand what drives the core of you. I mean, come on. The two greatest days of your life. This is an amazing quote. The day you were born and the day you figure out what you were born to be. Those are the two greatest days of your life. How many leftists do you think figure out what they were born to be early on? I bet you it's not many. You want to know why most people graduate from college and don't even use their degrees? Because they are leftists. They've been programmed to believe that they want something. Somebody says a study. Oh, there's a study. There's a need for IT people. So they go, I'll study IT. They don't like it. They just want to be miserable about something. That's the funny thing about leftism. It loves misery. And then it expects somebody to fix it, to fix the misery. See, you, on the other hand, conservatives, you do what you want, and when it's time, when somebody makes you mad and you go, I was mad at that job anyway, I'll go do what I want to do. And you become successful because you find yourselves. Not too late. A lot to talk about. We'll be
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Jackson Radio Show.
Leftists are miserable creatures. That's why they love chaos and what they call change. See, we would love to just have a predictable world of sorts. I mean, we understand things are going to change, but there should be certain things that are predictable. Like, for example, your immigration system, the influx and outflow of people into your country. The same way you wouldn't want to come home and one day there's 3 people in your house. Maybe it's you, your spouse, and a child. And then the next day you come home and there's 17 people. It makes it tough to plan. You don't know what the carpool's going to be like. You don't know when you have to take little Gomez to soccer and, little, I don't know, give me a little Mexican girl's name, Mary, Maria, little Maria to dance class. The point is, we want some level of stability and consistency. And you want it in your government. You want it in your surroundings. You don't want, the closing off streets every other day in your city, or they change the water days or whatever, depending on what is going on. You want some level of consistency because you know what? Life is going to deal with enough of your change on the day-to-day basis in your own life. You got to make decisions on what to eat. You don't eat the same food every day for the most part. You don't wear the same clothes. Kids don't have the same activities. Your spouse may travel, may not. Different things going on at work and so on and so forth. So that's why you need some layer of stability. I said life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. It was George Bernard Shaw who actually said that. Thank you for finding that, my friend. But that's what life is supposed to be about. Leftists spend a lot of time looking for themselves because they stay in a constant state of chaos. They have no grounding tool. There's no foundational support. Many of them, they say, I don't believe in God, but I'm spiritual. Well, it's nonsense. Either you believe in something that can help you find that center that can ground you. Your body has it. It's why the human body is designed to perfection. It is. You have a center of gravity that makes everything work. We call it the core now. You strengthen your core, everything else is strong with you. The same is true of your mental stability and strengthening your core, your basis of knowledge. Why do you think they're taking away the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic? They don't want that foundation to be there. They're doing Common Core, and they're teaching multiculturalism and the social justice warrior agenda. How depressed you should be because of the past, something that you have you haven't suffered at all. I was talking to my team the other day. I said, hey, I want to come up with things that the left, these snowflakes, have never experienced. For example, heat stroke due to picking cotton. Yeah, or have to get reconstructive surgery due to whippings by the master. Segregated lunch counters. Police brutality or beatdowns. They don't even know of it. They barely know anecdotally, and it's only because somebody said it. That's the way they learn. That's the way they are. Life isn't about finding yourself. It is about creating yourself. You know what the beauty of creation is? And I'm going to get to politics in a second. By the way, I am talking politics. For those of you who are saying, Kevin, why are you giving us a life lesson, brother man? I'm probably older than you, Kev. Why are you trying to give me a lesson in life? I don't know. Why are you listening? That's the question I would ask. See, I don't answer your questions. You'll be trying to trick me up. I would ask you, why are you listening? If I'm younger, probably am, could be, don't know. I'm older than people think. A black don't crack. But you're listening for a reason, because I'm trying to impart some knowledge on you upside your head. Creation is something beautiful. In the beginning, God created. God did not destroy. He didn't take part of the universe and say, I will destroy this part of the universe and make it into earth. No, he created it. In the beginning. You love creation. Kids love creation. You know what else we love? We love creation and we love discovery. Everybody does. Every kid is amazed when they utter a word and people look at them. Or they do something like, walk, and they're like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. We all have the same, it's just a primordial, thing inside of us. Life is simple. We make it complicated. That's a paraphrase of Confucius. Confucius say, life very simple, but we insist on making it complicated. And that's just how he said it too. I knew Confucius. We do. We make it complicated. And what's complicating our lives these days is the stupidity upon which our lives are being governed. Let's go back to creation. What do you want to create? You want to create an environment where we let the Hillary Clintons of the world get away with what they get away with? Or do you want to create an environment where people follow the rules? People obey the law. It applies equally and honestly to everybody. That's what I'd like to create. But see, that's not good. Leftists don't like that. They want to let you know, hey, if you get to a certain strata, the rules no longer apply. You can get what they call it, that rich kid. They called it like too much money-itis or something. You know, it's like I can see it. I can see the word. Influenza. Or something like that. Like he had too much money and influence. That's what this kid, they got him off on it too. Yeah. So we've got all these things we're dealing with. Insane things that are happening in the world because leftists don't know how to find themselves. Money that's been spent out the wazoo that could help them find themselves. Ask yourself, when you see these crazy classes like women's studies and black people studies, gender studies, whatever, and as opposed to finding yourself, you know what leftists do? They say, well, if you think you're a little boy, think again, because you might not be. No, there are 35, no, 51, no, 73 genders. And each of them have all their pronouns and stuff. So you think you were born a little white boy, huh? Instead, you could be a black girl. That's how crazy leftism is. It lets you pick and choose because here's why. Let's help you find yourself. Yeah. Now, some of you argue, well, Kevin, that's pretty creative. Yeah, you could create anything you want. Yeah, you can create that. It would be a false identity, Sybil. Because you are who you are, and you should appreciate who you are. Look, we're at fault too, conservatives. We got after people for being gay or, interracial marriage and all that back in the day. We did our stupid stuff. Looked at people a little strangely because they didn't fit the mold of whatever we were told it was supposed to be. I'm not forgiving us. But at the end of the day, we want to finding yourself means understanding who you are. To thyself be true. Be true to who you are. That's the easiest way to find yourself. And let people know. I get it. There are secrets that you want to keep, and I'm cool with that. I don't need to know everything about you, but I need to know who you are at your core. That we're equally yoked in certain ways of thinking. Anyway, we got a ton to talk about. I'm going to get off. Though I will be interweaving a life into the discussion. We'll be back in just a bit. Hang in there.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Democrats about to get a life lesson. And no matter what they tell you, folks, they're scared. Very scared. They have people running as Republicans, and they know that's not going to, when we start matching people up correctly, it's not going to happen. Here's a CNBC report. It says if midterm elections were held today, 5 Senate Democrats would lose to Republicans, giving the GOP an even bigger edge in the chamber. And this is according to new surveys from Axios Survey Monkey. So even a monkey knows it. Now, I've been saying this for quite some time. Now, they're going to be a little more optimistic about the House, but trust me, that's not going to work either. But I want to finish this because I want you to understand how the Democrats are losing, even CNBC is saying this. This isn't Fox News, or not that Fox is, unbalanced by it, or biased, but this is CNBC. They said, according to the results, Democrat Senators John Tester of Montana, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Joe Donnelly of Indiana are trailing generic Republicans. You don't even have a person there. I could go run in any of those districts and probably become a senator. Okay, that's the first thing. Republican candidate Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri trails state's Republican Attorney General Josh Hawley in her reelection bid. Senator Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota will face Representative Kevin Cramer, although Axios polled Heitkamp's chances against a generic Republican candidate. So again, Heitkamp, without even saying that Cramer's going to run against her, in a generic Republican, she lost. These are sitting senators, 5 of them. Now, you can look at the House and go, well, the House is more indicative of blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You don't have to believe me. You can worry if you choose to. I'm not going to. Democrats are going to lose seats in the House, and they are going to lose a lot of seats in the Senate. Now, here's what this NBC thing goes on to put a little salve on the wounds of leftists who are going, don't say it, don't tell people this, because that's not what we're talking about. They say, as it stands now, Democrats have a better chance of improving their position and possibly taking the majority in the House this fall than they do in the Senate. Now, that's not saying they're going to. That's saying they have a better chance. But given that they have 2 chances to take over the Senate, slim and none, that's not telling you much. They say an average poll of Real Clear Politics shows that Democrats have nearly a 9-point lead over Republicans on a generic ballot. This is what they're talking about for the House. The Senate is a different story though. Republicans hold a 51-49 edge in the chamber, but 26 of the 30 seats are up for grabs, belong to Democrats or senators who caucus on the Democratic side. So I talked about this, a year ago, telling you it's a terrible year for the Senate because the majority of the people running will be Democrats. In 6 of the 10 states polled in this Axios survey, President Trump's approval rating is more than 50%. That's the fake news polls, compared with 43% national approval, which again is a fake news poll. But think about President Trump coming into the White House at 38% according to them. Now he's at 43% nationally. In 6 of the 10 states, 50%, again, fake news polls. And they say a Real Clear poll average of various polls approval ratings for Trump stands at just under 40%, which means flip it and you have the real number. This is not good for the Democrats. Tester, Manchin, and McCaskill are in the most danger, according to Axios. Their approval ratings are either below or slightly above 50%. Of the 5 Democrats losing in the polls, only McCaskill and Heitkamp so far face an actual candidate. Republican candidates running against Tester, Manchin, and Donnelly have yet to be determined and are still polling better. Look, folks, I don't know what kind of barometers you test things on when you don't even have to have a body in place for them to be going, uh-oh. And losing, you're in bad shape. That's not just bad shape in West Virginia or bad shape in South Dakota or Montana. That's bad shape across the country. The survey found that Tester would score 42% of his state's votes, with 55% saying they would vote Republican. Manchin is at 43%, 52% saying they'll vote Republican. Manchin is the one who came up to Trump and was shaking his hand after the State of the Union speech and has been pro-Trump on practically everything he's voted on because he doesn't want to lose. He's out. McCaskill down 44% to Josh Hawley 52%. Now, here's what's interesting about picking the right candidates to fill those spots. As long as these guys don't have any type of crazy things in their past, they're gonna shoehorn them in. McCaskill is gone. I will tell you that right now. Manchin is gone. Tester is gone. The only question is, how many of them? Will we get all 6? Of the 26, of the 30 seats that are up for grabs, Democrats, how many of the 26 seats do you think we're going to win? Right now they're saying as many as 6. It could go as high as 8. I'm just saying, folks. And you can look at the House. Oh, well, we just lost Pennsylvania. We lost this or that. Don't fret about the House. When all this stuff shakes out and the money starts coming in for the right candidates in these offices, and the Republicans who are sitting on a war chest, and when Donald Trump starts going to some of the key races and supporting those, and the Republicans target the race, there are people right now in this mode. I know, here's what the Republicans can do that will do that you don't see behind the scenes. Now, you may not like every candidate. Let's just forget like that part of it. But when they back somebody and they say, we're going to go after that seat, and they throw their money and their efforts behind it, the machine that comes into place with the Republican, the GOP, and the RNC is a huge help. It's a financial boost. They get media coverage. They get professionalism. I'll give it to by the way, that's both parties. Either party says, I'm going to run with you, you're in good shape. So that's already being looked at. And my hope is that the Republicans are obviously, even if they don't have the most organized game, which I know they will, we're going to maintain the House. I want to see the House grow. I want to see the critical places where we need to go, and I want to start helping out on those campaigns. I want to be involved, and I hope you do too. Maybe this is something we can all work on together. Tea Party community, we're going to support the best candidate in the race no matter what. We're going to support the best candidate. I'm just saying that publicly. So what I'm hoping is that when they map all these things out, these one-offs that the Democrats have been winning where they've been spending $50 million or so, they're going to go away. And here's why. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Donald Trump's economy continues to improve. Foreign policy continues to improve. The tsunami, you'll start to see the wave get sucked back from the ocean as these policies start to take place. So the tsunami's coming. And off the shore in November, you're going to be able to see that big tsunami wave coming in. But people are still going to be enjoying the beach. That's the good thing. So not necessarily if you get caught in a tsunami, but the point is the economy is still beach worthy. You can go hang out and play at the beach. When the tsunami comes in this case a good one, it's going to lift everything up. And you're going to be able to see that by the time November rolls around, there will be no doubt that these policies are working. So whether it's another GDP of over 3%, whether it's unemployment going any lower, whether it's average salaries rising, whether it's manufacturing finally kicking back in, products being sold overseas, a drop in terrorism, you name it, it's all going to be taking place. Most of it's going to be good news. And here's the best part. Here's the best part. The media will be even more damaged. The Democrats will be even more damaged. And here's what you're going to see. You're going to see Democrats pretending to run as Republicans. Meaning they're going to look at the policies of Donald Trump and say, I accept what Donald Trump is doing. It's a good thing, and blah, blah, blah. You're going to see them bad-mouthing leadership the same way the guy who ran against Saccone bad-mouthed Pelosi. Now, here's the bad news for that. Don't believe him. You got to get out there and you got to tell Democrats, oh, you're going to vote for the party of scoundrels. That's who you're going to be. You're going to have to be more vocal than at any time in your political career over the next 2 election cycles. You're going to have to get in the face of people and say, I thought Barack Obama was supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread. What happened to baby black Jesus? What's going on with you? You're going to have to get vocal. You're going to have to be in your face of people, and you're going to have to make them remember the 8 years of pure HE double crooked socks we went through. And also it'll be 2 years at that time, the 2 years that they wanted us to feel stupid because we supported Donald Trump. You do that and it's all good. Trust me, the rest is going to take care of itself because this team, Kevin Jackson and the Black Sphere team, are going to bring 3 to 6% more of the black vote if you guys will help us fund it. And we're going to make sure black people in enough mass vote for the Republicans to where we will never worry about certainly these next 2 elections. That's what you can count on.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Have you guys heard this new trend for millennials? They're not buying rings. They're taking a diamond and they're putting it directly into their skin. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Millennials look for ways to prove that they're idiots. I don't get this. At least the 60s hippies had an excuse. Drugs. And, I guess it's sex and rock and roll. But to put a diamond directly in your skin, I don't know what the ramifications of that are, but it cannot be good. I mean, it's a part of nature. I get it. I mean, think about what something does on the outside of your skin if it's a bad metal or something, which I know a diamond's not metal, it's carbon, and I know we're made of carbon. Look, don't even go there with me. I'm an engineer. I know what's going on here. I'm just saying your body is not made to take a diamond into the skin and absorb around. It's either the skin will absorb around it and the diamond will go inside and then it's going to move around and it's going to be complications. Why would you do this? Millennials, hit a brother up. Tell me why you would do something like that. I know the millennials that listen to my program are not that stupid. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. Hey, here's another story. Let's do some quick hits. I call this segment Insane News. Toys R Us is gone. They filed bankruptcy. Now, I have no sympathy for Toys R Us because they like killing black people. Toys R Us donated millions of dollars to Planned Parenthood, and I bet they'd like to get that money back so they could give it to the executives and then file bankruptcy again, but they don't get to. But Toys R Us is one of these relic organizations that didn't see it coming. Toys. Plastic pieces of junk being made in China. Then they didn't think Amazon was going to figure it out. All this overpriced stuff. Man, just feasting along. Fat, dumb, and happy. Probably, of course, run by leftists because they would sponsor Planned Parenthood. Run by leftists and making junk. Think about the money you spend on toys and how much that you look at what goes into a toy. Something that costs $50, a board game, or some little doll, or some beanie something or another that's made for pennies on the dollar in some sweatshop in China or Malaysia or somewhere else, and they come over here and sell it for 1,000% profit, and they still can't make a living. They didn't plan for the future and say, you know what, this could get competitive, or look for ways for branding or whatever. No, they just let old Bezos come along and say, hey, I'll sell you those same toys for 25% profit and I'll ship it to you and I'll make money hand over fist. I got no sympathy for Toys R Us. Be gone, Toys R Us. I don't care about you. What else we got? Insane news. McCabe. Democrats, there's a thing going around right now. They want to hire McCabe, and I think he got hired. It was before the CNN thing. And I don't know, is he working for CNN? But here's what I can tell you. Democrats love their scoundrels. This guy hasn't even been, he's retired, right? He announced his own retirement. He's got a fat pension that now we're fighting over that they want to say Donald Trump wants to keep him from. I want to keep him from it. I'll take credit for it. The president doesn't have to take credit for it. I'll take credit for it. I don't want McCabe to have that money. So anyway, that's the next thing. Then they go, well, he can now start his new career at CNN. And others are going, we'll hire McCabe. How often have I told you that Democrats love their scoundrels? If the worse McCabe did in the FBI, the more some leftist company would want to hire him. Tim Cook of Apple would say, we'll make the McCabe version of the phone like Nike makes Jordans. Have you gotten your McCabe? The Apple 11? what's a bad number? The Apple 13. These leftists crack me up. Most people would run from a disgraced FBI guy. Try to get hired in a conservative company and say, yeah, I'm a disgraced FBI guy. I funneled money from the Clinton Foundation to my wife's campaign. I told people not to talk about it. I let Hillary Clinton off free. Yeah, I'm afraid you can't work here. I tell you what, why don't you hire an embezzler as your accountant? That's what they're doing. If you or I were fired from a federal job, we'd have to work as a dishwasher and be paid under the table. But not leftists. When they do wrong, they get promoted. Hallelujah, Susan Rice. Holy mother of Susan Rice. Holy mother of Hillary Clinton. The fact of the matter is, the worse you perform in the public service as a Democrat, the better things are for you when you get out. Look at Marie Harf. What a joke that chick is. A total joke. She worked in the CIA. She worked in the secret parts of our government, knows things that nobody should know, and she's dumber than anybody I've ever met. Andrea Mitchell said this in a tweet. One suggestion from a McCabe supporter, McCabe, if a friendly member of Congress hired him for a week, he could possibly qualify for his pension benefits by extending his service over the next few days. That's what they said after that clown was found to be a scoundrel, a crook within our government, plotting against the Donald Trump to get elected, and on and on. Who knows what we're going to find out about him and his staffers. And Ari Fleischer, he said, wonderful idea. Every member of Congress should hire fired bureaucrats who lie to an inspector general in the course of a government investigation. Pensions before honesty. Great slogan. I love that. See, people get it. There are people in this country that understand how crazy leftism is. You want another crazy story? I'll give you one. Baltimore setting up a fund for illegals. Here's from Judicial Watch. Less than a year after Baltimore prosecutors ordered staff not to charge illegal immigrants with minor nonviolent crimes because it could get them deported, Maryland's largest city will hire immigration attorneys to help those facing removal. Now I'm going to stop there to remind you, California just put an illegal just won a statewide election. Now, why isn't the federal government arresting that clown? Somebody from Mexico. Send that sucker home. And arrest anybody that would dare put him on the ballot. It's unbelievable. This story goes on. It's important to note that Baltimore has the nation's highest per capita homicide rate, has been coined the deadliest big city in the United States by a mainstream newspaper. Nevertheless, a city panel approved spending $200,000 this month to pay for lawyers to represent illegal aliens with deportation orders. Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh says in the local news that the goal is for everyone to get due process. We're not making a decision as to their status. We're making the decision to be supportive of individuals who live in our city. Individuals who they are representing, taking money away from tax-paying citizens and the problems that they face every single day. And that's what Baltimore wants to do with its money. I'm going to slow down and let you guys catch up. Whew. They're like James Brown at a concert. Man, Judicial Watch goes on, they say this. Unlike the criminal justice system, in immigration court, the government doesn't offer free lawyers to those who can't afford them. This means that illegals who don't have money to pay for the lawyer to represent them in legal proceedings or they rely on volunteer attorneys or paralegals provided by immigration rights groups. This leaves many illegal aliens in removal proceedings without an adequate legal representation. The trend of using taxpayer dollars to assist illegals in deportation hearings started under the Obama administration. In 2015, the former president allocated $2 million to hire attorneys to represent the influx of illegal alien minors in federal immigration proceedings. The money flowed through a special program, Justice AmeriCorps, launched by DOJ, Executive Office for Immigration Review. So Barack Obama started this nonsense, and you know why? I don't have to tell you why. In response, they go on to say this. to Trump's administration immigration policies, American sanctuary cities took matters into their own hands, creating local funds to help illegals facing deportation. Chicago City Council approved $1.3 million in legal defense funds, and the city of Los Angeles followed with $10 million to help illegal immigrants dodge justice. Shortly after the city announced its special immigration project, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors offered to kick in another $3 million to provide more lawyers. The only LA County supervisor who voted against the fund said it is irresponsible to allocate taxpayer money for such a program. In the city's case, the city attorney, whose office prosecutes crimes and represents LA in litigation, said the money will ensure that there is, quote, more fairness and effectiveness in the immigration system. It's a federal matter, not a state matter. But does that matter? Of course not. So these people, if I were in California, I would sue the legislators. If you live in a state where they allowed this to happen, you should be up in arms over this. But this is what we've come to. This is where we find ourselves in this country. It's just crazy. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now, but there's a lot more to it.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? I was talking about life earlier, and we're told life is precious. But is it? And if it is, what makes it so? Because from my vantage point today, life seems very frivolous. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. Now, I want to say this right now. I don't find any of your lives frivolous. I believe we all matter. I'm glad you're here. You are spending part of your life with me, probably a much bigger part than you would have ever imagined, certainly bigger than I would have ever imagined, and I'm commanding an audience. And you know what we're talking about? We're talking about our lives. Are we prepping? Are we training? Or for what, right? Because we want better lives. I would venture to tell you the majority of us want better lives for other people than we really do for ourselves. Our lives are okay. What I've learned about life is the more left you are, the more worthless your life appears to be. I find life to be precious, mine in particular. I know that something inside of me burns to keep my life going. Now, I watched my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother both at different times give up on life. I remember my great-grandmother saying to my grandmother, her daughter, I want you to go into that chest that's in the room right by the door. And she starts telling you, and I want you to give a baby this, and I want you to give, pie. And she's naming off my grandmother's younger sisters and her brother, Burl. She's telling her what to give to everybody. And it was a night, we were at the hospital. I remember I was just sitting in a chair, not playing video games. I didn't have anything to do. But we had gone to the hospital to see my grandmother's mother, my great-grandmother, half Navajo Indian, big woman, big bone woman too. And she was laying in that bed, and my grandmother was talking about, mama, and, having her conversation. And my great-grandmother was telling my grandmother what to give away. And my grandmother says to her, Mama, why are you giving all this stuff away? That's some of your favorite stuff. And my great-grandmother, as ornery as she was, said, now, hey, I just told you what to do, now do it. And my grandmother goes, okay, whatever. So we went back to the house. It was a very, very unassuming house with a hole in the floor in the living room and what do they call this? An area stove, but it was one of those black stoves you put wood in, and it exhausted through the ceiling. Anyway, my grandmother, we went back to the house, and she was going through the stuff looking for what her mother had told her to give away. And of course, the next morning, my grandmother passed away. My great-grandmother died. Similar thing, my great-grandfather had gone to the VA hospital, and I went to see him. And he said to me, he's always a strong guy. My great-grandfather, I'll tell you, people don't believe this story, but everybody in my family knows it. It's a true story. My great-grandfather was tending his crops. He's a sharecropper, and a mule wouldn't move. And he was trying to get this mule going because he needed to finish this crop. And he hit this mule and knocked it out. People know that story. It's a true story. And so he was known just to be crazy strong. And it was funny because I was much like him. And I've never knocked out a mule. Thankfully, they've all been pretty agreeable. Or maybe I would have. But anyway, my great-grandfather, who was probably one of the strongest men I've ever met in my life, he wasn't huge. He was probably 5'10", $180. But he was all you wanted to handle. He would throw you around like a rag doll. And it's folklore through my family that would tell you that. It's just not me bragging about him, even though I love him to death. He is the man I respected the most in the world. So anyway, my great-grandfather, I go to see him at the VA hospital. He's sitting on the bed, and he says to me, he's got a nickname for me, and he says, I peed myself. And I said, what, Papa? And he says, I peed myself. I couldn't hear him completely. And he was practically blind, almost blind. And I said, well, that's okay, Pops, and he was crying. He'd never seen my great-grandfather cry in my entire life, and I don't think he was much for crying, but he cried, and I cried because I couldn't believe that the strongest man I knew was sitting there crying because he was admitting to me that he peed himself. He couldn't hold it, and he was like, I just feel so embarrassed. And I was like, Papa, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And we're crying. But I knew what was happening because he was saying, I don't have control anymore. And anyway, long story short, my brother came down the next day and saw him. I had gone back. I had to go back home. And my brother said to me, I don't think, Papa was going to be around. And then the next day he died. And so you can tell when people are saying, look, things are shutting down. And my question is, does something trigger that emotion? I mean, was it my grandfather losing control of his body? That's not a big deal in the scheme of things. But for him, it was. I know 50 years earlier, my great-grandfather would have fought for survival. He would have said, I got to figure out why I'm peeing on myself. But at that stage, it was like that was the end. We know people who aren't necessarily great people, by the way, who will fight for their lives. Somebody breaks into somebody's home and they say, man, that burglar had all he could handle because that young girl fought like the Dickens and finally the neighbors heard and rescued her or whatever. Fighting for their lives. So what's worth fighting for? I'm willing to bet in this audience is paying attention to the Kevin Jackson Show, listening to me speak about this. There are things you're willing to fight for, even die for others that you wouldn't necessarily fight for yourself. I'm saying like something about your kids or whatever, things like that. For me, somebody does smack, does whatever, wants to hit whatever. I don't really care. But I'm more willing to go help a stranger in a situation than maybe I would do for myself. Can't say that across the board. But I know that. So my whole point of it is this. We're fighting for this thing that we hold to be precious, that leftists want you to believe that they feel is precious, and yet I don't see their side of it. I don't see them really looking at life from a precious point of view and saying, find out who your life is about. Find out what your life is about. I gave one of the greatest quotes earlier in the broadcast where I said the two most important days of your life are the day that you're born and the day that you find out what you were born to do. And I think that we find that earlier. We find it often. We find it at some point and leftists don't. So I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about teens and guns and a host of other things, folks. I'm glad you're here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Another school shooting. Yes, indeed. This one in Maryland. And this is one that all these school shootings, I just want to be very clear, put these on the bony shoulders of Barack insane Obama. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. An armed resource officer ended a school shooting at Great Mills High School in St. Mary's County, Maryland. This happened just a day ago? St. Mary's County Sheriff Tim Cameron told WRC-TV, the NBC affiliate in Washington, that a male student at a high school opened fire on a female student shortly after school started. Where's Kumbaya? Where's all these emasculated males? I thought these emasculated males were not supposed to be going around shooting up girls. They're supposed to be trying on makeup together. A second male student was shot, but I think he was caught in the crossfire. Cameron said the school resource officer then fired his own weapon at the gunman, bringing the violence to an end. The gunman was later pronounced dead. The girl was critically injured, according to the reports. The third student, is being treated for a gunshot wound. I want to stop for just a second and tell you guys, school shootings. Get used to it. It isn't like this is something new. Let me tell you why. It's because liberalism is in these schools. Oh, I know. You say, Kevin, you're a broken record. All you do is talk about leftism. Leftism. That's all it is. That is the answer. Light of the world, shine on me. Leftism is the answer, and it isn't giving you love. It's giving you hate. It breeds everything that you don't want in the human condition. It breeds insecurity. It breeds jealousy. It breeds envy. All of it. Guarantee you, when they find out what's going on here, it's going to be something that you can tie it back to leftism. It's going to be family issues. It's going to be teasing, bullying, unrequited love, unresolved stuff, anger, you name it. And let me tell you something, folks. I'm a conservative, and I had to deal with all those emotions as a kid, but I never wanted to hurt anybody. I never went to therapy. I didn't have any safe zones or whatever. By the way, isn't that a safe zone? Did you guys see, I don't know if you've seen this, in London, they have a sign up now that says something like, this is a no-go zone. It's for adults. This is not at some, at Oxford or some college or university. They want adults where they believe that Muslims are no longer going to attack. Your rape culture doesn't apply here in the safe zone, Muslims in London. The Londoners are seeing it and saying this is so ridiculous. And they want it to be like everybody can come here. Think think about this. When you have to tell people this is the safe area, in other words, outside of here, you're on your own. As we used to say, everybody for himself and God for us all. Only in here can we guarantee, finger quotes, your safety. But outside of this, well, hey, so what, we brought over all these crazed terrorists. Outside of our safe zone of schools, here I thought schools were supposed to be safe. Dens of leftism. You won't find a Republican anywhere near one of those schools. The superintendent's a Democrat. The teachers are Democrats. They're indoctrinated Democrats. Teachers union. Where's the teachers union? Are they crying out, protect our teachers? What is the role of a teacher? To protect. When you send your kids to school, you give them to the teachers and they become the surrogate parents. I know that doesn't, that's what the state wants you to believe. They're the surrogate parents. You send your kids to school, you're saying, I'm putting my kids in the care of the state. And what happens? Your kids get shot up. Great Mills, 60 miles southeast of D.C., where the March for Our Lives rally for school safety and gun control was scheduled to take place this Saturday. According to press reports from Southern Maryland, police had investigated a threat on February 20th that was posted on social media to Great Mills High School. Ironically, it got shot up. Hey, look, here's the difference between this and Parkland. When they found out there was a nutcase that was potentially going to go there and shoot up schools, the school resource officer was there and he took care of business. And a tweet from this kid, his name is A Persistence. He's a real Trump supporter. Kind of a long-haired guy, a millennial. He says, thank you to every single person who tweeted that the armed resource officers shot and stopped the Great Mills High School shooter. Well, thanks to everybody involved who responded, who said, you know what, we're going to take this seriously because many more people could have been killed. Now, leftists, ask yourself this question. What would have happened had that school resource officer not been there? That girl would be deader than disco, and so would that kid, and who knows how many others. But in this case, the bad guy is gone. I don't know what this kid did. I don't know what drove him to this act. But that act was the act of a madman, and he deserved to be dead from it. Outside of our safe zone of schools, here I thought schools were supposed to be safe. Dens of leftism. You won't find a Republican anywhere near one of those schools. The superintendent's a Democrat. The teachers are Democrats. They're indoctrinated Democrats. Teachers union. Where's the teachers union? Are they crying out, protect our teachers? What is the role of a teacher? To protect. When you send your kids to school, you give them to the teachers and they become the surrogate parents. I know that doesn't, that's what the state wants you to believe. They're the surrogate parents. You send your kids to school, you're saying, I'm putting my kids in the care of the state. And what happens? Your kids get shot up. A friend of mine tweeted this. It's amazing that whenever Democrats are proven wrong on something, they pretend that they never said it. They now claim they never said collusion. And now that an armed guard saved kids' lives at school, they're pretending that they were never against armed guards at schools. I give you what I said to you a while back. You show me an armed guard who's willing to do his job and protect kids at school, and I'll show you a school that is going to be protected. And eventually, they won't shoot up those schools. You think anybody else is going to go and shoot up Great Mills High School? Great, whatever it's called. These people want you to believe that you send your kids to school and they're going to get educated, that everything's going good. Woohoo, look at this. Inner city high schools have a 50% dropout rate. Many of them do anyway. And of those who graduate, many of them can't read, can't compute at grade level. Urban public school teachers with school-age kids are more likely to have their own kids in private school than the rest of the population. That should tell you all you need to know about this rank school system that wants you to believe that you need to keep pouring money into a broken system. And then that system, they say, jump out of that one and onto the conveyor belt of ignorance going to college, where you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on stupid degrees that are going to get your kids nothing except laughed at. These people don't want to protect your kids. They don't want to educate your kids. They want to indoctrinate your kids, and they fool you into believing it, and they do a money grab, a vicious money grab. chasing you out of public schools so you can not only pay the taxes for that, but go pay for private schools, then to convince you that you need to send your kids to the best colleges and the best universities so you can really buck up. And all you end up is with debt and kids that don't talk to you. Anyway, we'll be back. Hillary apologized.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I do want to get to one other thing in the news, which we haven't had a chance to talk about yet on the show, which is Hillary Clinton appeared in India, and she was asked about some of the reasons why Donald Trump won. Here's a brief excerpt of her remarks.
So I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward, and his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. You know, you didn't like black people getting rights. You don't like women, getting jobs. You don't want to, see that Indian American succeeding more than you are. Whatever your problem is, I'm going to solve it.
What's your response when you hear her talking, saying that?
Well, my state is one of those states. So in defense of Ohio, that voted twice for President Obama in 2008 and 2012, the quintessential swing state. No Republican has ever won the presidency without us, and President Obama won my state. So it's very hurtful to lump all Ohioans and all people. In politics, we should not criticize the voters. The onus is on the person that is running for office, and just to do that just continues to divide and malign people.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's rare for Nina and I to agree wholeheartedly on something, but that's an area where I agree. I mean, to suggest that the people of Wisconsin are somehow backwards or on the wrong side of history not only misreads history, it misreads the present moment. And I always remember when I would campaign in sort of blue parts of my district, and I knocked on this one door, and I gave my whole spiel, Mike Gallagher running for office, and this lady says to me, "I'm not voting for you. I don't like Republicans." I'm like, "Sorry for your time, ma'am. I'll leave." And then as I walked away, she yelled at me and said, "But I am voting for Donald Trump because he's going to shake things up." And that disgust with the status quo, I think, animated both Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders at the same time. And Clinton fundamentally misreads the moment.
Do you want to weigh in?
Look, I think we looked very closely at what happened post-election, and I think I've said on your show before, there are counties in states like Ohio, but also in Iowa, where there was a massive flip from supporting Obama to supporting Hillary Clinton. And that just doesn't justify what she said. So it doesn't validate, I should say, what she said. There were a lot of dynamics in the race, no question, but I don't think you can blame it entirely. You shouldn't be blaming it on the electorate, and there was a larger issue with the campaign, how it was run, and frankly, her candidacy.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That was CNN discussing Hillary's India statement. We've already talked about that, but I want you to hear what the left is saying about it. And so here's what the first lady who spoke was a black leftist. And she says, "My state is one of those states, a swing state, the quintessential state. You do not win the presidency without going through Ohio. If you don't win Ohio, you don't win the presidency." And she says, I don't like the way she lumped all Ohio people into that. And she explained it. That is a black woman who theoretically should be the person for Hillary Clinton. The reason why I want to point her out more than others, and I'll get to the other people in just a second, is I want you to understand how significant it is. How significant is it that a black woman who is the demographic that everybody tells you should be pro-Hillary, this is the one they said was going to change the election. In fact, afterwards, I think when we lost in Wisconsin, they said, "We want to thank black women, blah, blah, blah." That is a woman post-Wisconsin saying, here's Hillary Clinton yet again dogging us. So then Mike Gallagher comes up. By the way, that lady said she should not criticize the voters for how they voted because that divides and it maligns. Then Mike Gallagher came in. He's a representative. He says, hard to believe, I actually agree with this woman. We agree on this point. There are many things that woman and Republicans, not just Mike Gallagher, can eventually agree on. We have to win these little micro battles. Like what she said, like what Hillary Clinton said, there's not a leftist on the planet who buys into that nonsense. So The last person who spoke worked for the State Department. That's who Marie Harf worked for, a lady named Jen Psaki. And even she said the voters, many of the voters that had voted for Obama were willing to vote for Hillary Clinton. And even the ones, she didn't say this, but even the ones who voted for Trump are good people. I think they said 30% of the people, and we have another clip for this. Actually, I'll just save that statement and let you hear it, because this is now, we're going to play one from MSNBC. That was CNN. We're going to play one from MSNBC. Now, what's going on here? Hillary, again, disrespected the majority of Americans. And yes, I'm saying the majority of the American electoral and the popular vote support Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton now. The media doesn't want to tell you that. The polls, they don't want to share that. If they told you the truth about how Donald Trump is really polling, it would blow your mind. It would be so devastating that the media would be in trouble. Mueller's investigation would be in trouble. The Democrats across the board would be in trouble. Barack Obama would be laughed at. Late night comedians would have nothing to talk about if they just told you the truth. That's all they have to do. If they were to stop demonizing Donald Trump and jump on board, Donald Trump's approval rating would jump into the 70s, high 70s. Do you think for 1 second the left is going to allow that to happen? There is no way. They will fight tooth and nail. They will skew polls. They'll skew public opinion in any way that they can. And I already said earlier in the broadcast, the two reasons why the Democrats, two things that are DEFCON 1 for them. One is if any Democrat is indicted by Mueller or any other way related to the Russian conspiracy. And two, if Mueller drops the charges against Donald Trump. Forget the House Intel Committee. Mueller knows he's supposed to drop the charges after that. Mueller knows this investigation has been over for the better part of 6 months. And by the way, everybody knows it never should have begun. But if he drops the charges, that is the end of the Democrats. That's why it keeps hanging on like a hair on a biscuit. These people don't want to let this go. So that's number one. The hard truth for the few hangers-on of the Clinton era, a time when the Clintons killed with immunity. But those days are over, and the world has become a safer place because the Clintons no longer wield the power that they did 8 years or 10 years ago. Now, Andrew McCabe and James Comey, they can't fire their security details just yet. But for the most part, former Clintonistas can feel a little bit safer because Bill and Hillary Clinton have been neutered. You neutered them. Yeah, you didn't even realize you were the vet. During the campaign, Hillary Clinton called the people who supported Donald Trump, you know what I'm talking about, he called us the deplorables. And her base agreed with her. Many even cheered the term. They could put them in a basket of deplorables. And everybody laughed. But they didn't realize that the Clinton era was dying. And it was dying on the back of the Obama era. That, I'm telling you couldn't get a more group of cocky politicos, people that thought Barack Obama would carry her through. And let me tell you, this is how much they believed it. They cheated through their teeth. They got the FBI, NSA, FISA courts, CIA, everybody was involved, NSA, because they knew they could not defeat Donald Trump on the up and up. But they want you to believe Hillary and Barack Obama are very popular. If you're very popular, you don't need to cheat. If they go, who's going to be homecoming queen? And people go, oh, it's foregone conclusion. That's going to be Donald Trump. But if you believe that it's not going to be you and it is going to be Trump, you're going to cheat. If that's a big deal for you. The only possibility, folks, of taking Hillary off life support was a win in the 2016 presidential election. And as you all know, praise God, it didn't happen. But we got lots of excuses it happened. And so the one that Hillary came up with, the most recent, was the one in India that essentially said white women were too afraid to vote for her because it would buck the system of their, patriarchal households run by their husbands who would beat these women if they didn't support Donald Trump. And then secondarily, she won all the good people. All the bad people, well, they voted for Trump. And she yet again repeated her disrespect for Trump. But this time, her base abandoned her. They were like, wait a minute. Enough is enough. Hillary, why do you keep bringing this stuff up? We don't have time for this other clip right now. Maybe we'll bring it back coming in. But that's what I look at. I look at how did something happen before? How was it perceived during the 2016 election cycle? And now, how is this very same comment, just phrased another way, how's it being perceived? And you know how it's being perceived? People can't stand it. They can't stand Hillary. Have I proven to you that Barack Obama isn't nearly as popular as he's supposed to be, or else, pay attention, why would he cheat? Why did he enlist the support of every clandestine agency? Why did he plant a story about the FBI, Hillary Clinton? Why are the Democrats knowingly covering up all this stuff? It's a very simple answer, folks. They aren't popular. That's why I told you, don't worry about the 2018 elections. In November, we're good.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Senator, is that helpful to Democrats in 2018 to have Hillary Clinton dismissing the 60 million plus voters who supported and elected Donald Trump, dismissed, some could say even condemned, as racists and misogynists?
No, it's not helpful at all. And in fact, my friend Hillary Clinton is wrong. 30% of the people who voted for Donald Trump had voted for President Obama. Why? The same people who looked for change with President Obama thought there wasn't enough as far as their personal lives were concerned, and they supported Donald Trump. That is a reality that Democrats acknowledge. That's why we are focusing on issues to address this concern they have about the economic insecurity that many working families face. I can tell you a tax bill that gave tax breaks to the wealthiest people in America under the Republicans and President Trump is not responsive to that concern.
Heidi Heitkamp, one of your Senate Democratic colleagues who's running for re-election in the red state of North Dakota, said Hillary Clinton can't go away soon enough. Is she right? And should Hillary Clinton go away?
Well, I can tell you, Hillary Clinton, like every American, has the right to express her point of view, and she obviously gets press coverage. But we are moving on to the next chapter in American history.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com. If you want to call the show, 844-551-8255. So that's Dick Durbin talking about Hillary Clinton. But so a couple things to think about. Number one, 30% of the people who voted for Obama voted for Trump. And then what Durbin comes out later and says is the reality is Democrats are now focused on the issues that those people have. And then he went on to slam the tax bill. If that's their strategy, it's over. I'm telling you as a strategist, you're going to go out and tell the people that voted for Trump, who he said, I'm going to get you your money back. Hey, you know what? So what? He got you your money back. We still want to get you, we still want to tax the heck out of you. Or they want to put this class warfare. He didn't hit the rich hard enough. It isn't going to work. But here's the bigger thing. Heidi Heitkamp, she is one of the senators who is in huge trouble. Now, she's in a red state, but she's in big trouble, and she's sounding the alarm to the leftists. She's saying, Hillary Clinton can't go away fast enough for me. Now, that, of course, she's in a red state. The person that she's going to run against is going to definitely attach her to Hillary Clinton. If you don't think that that's not going to play nationally, you're out of your mind. Dick Durbin is a leader for the Democrats. This isn't some random guy. This is an anti-Trump, anti-American, dyed-in-the-wool leftist who would walk through fire for Hillary Clinton a year ago, certainly 2 years ago. He would never have said that. What station was that on? Anybody catch The Voice? Yeah, Brian Williams, MSNBC. This didn't come out of nowhere. This isn't Fox or the right-wing conspiracy. This was what they talked about on MSNBC. You want to know why? They're forced to. Do you think they wanted to talk about Hillary Clinton dissing well over half the country? Essentially saying yet again, my people, the people who vote Democrat, are better than those clowns. The very clowns who voted for Barack Obama in 2012, maybe 2008, who've now moved over to the right side of the aisle and gave up their clown shoes and their noses and took the makeup off. And she's saying these people are too stupid. They're not the salt of the earth. And look at what I won. And oh, by the way, women, let me disrespect you too. Yeah, that's a winning strategy. And for the record, you can tie that to every one of those Democrats. That is exactly how they feel. You want to know why it's resonating? It's because people know that. So what happened? Cries immediately. She needs to apologize. Leftists saying, I don't feel that way. No. Voters, I don't feel that way. We want to reach out to you. We want to make this more, less divisive. We want to be inclusive. Oh, except we don't want conservatives. We don't want Republicans. We don't want pro-lifers. We don't want pro-guns. We don't want pro-First Amendment. We don't want people that actually want to respect the borders. So we have a few caveats. But no. We want to be involved. We want us to all work together. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Yeah. If you think that's going to play, it's not. And so what is their strategy? You want to know what the Democrat strategy is? You're going to laugh when I tell you. They have bet their fate on a porn star. I know. It's funny how, look, I've been in radio now for 9 years. I don't care. I haven't seen porn. Porn is of no interest to me. I have had to talk about porn. I talk about it laughingly, but in the last week, I've talked about it more than I probably talked about it my entire radio career. I'm not even playing when I say that. Stormy Daniels. The Democrats have bet the fate of their party on a porn star. And I'm not talking about Bill Clinton. I could easily be talking about him. Stormy Daniels' lawyer, Michael Avenatti. We just learned some news about him. And it turns out that Michael Avenatti worked for Joe Biden and Rahm Emanuel. Now, you probably know those two guys because they were right-hand men to one of the worst presidents, if not the worst, in the history of mankind. That doesn't even, I'm including the entire world. When you're trying to railroad, when you're trying to smear somebody, when you're trying to make people believe, look, I'll be blunt. I don't know if Donald Trump had anything to do with Stormy Daniels. She's a good-looking lady. She's a porn star. She's a good-looking lady. She's a head turner. And, look, I'll just put it to you this way. As a billionaire, those girls like her, no offense, dime a dozen. And I'm not talking about the ones that do porn. I'm talking about good-looking girls at different events that see guys like Donald Trump and say, God, I wish he'd come over here and grab me by the They exist a dime a dozen. Everybody listening to this program knows it. And I'm going to go tell you guys something. And, wives, you can cover yours if you want to. But here's the deal. In many cases, the very men that you sit next to, if they haven't found their religion, don't give them $1 billion because they might disappear on you for quite some time. It takes a lot of self-control to be a person that's good looking and a billionaire and keeping your eye on the prize. So as far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump probably showed much more restraint than 90% of the people that I know. And oh, ladies, I'm not letting you off the hook either. If you were billionaires, you might not be with your guy. So let's just keep things real. So I don't know what Donald Trump did with Stormy Daniels, but here's the rub. I don't care. Whatever issue he has with Stormy Daniels is between himself, potentially his family, Melania maybe, and God. End of story. All I care about Donald Trump is, will you continue to lower my taxes, kick Kim Jong-un's butt, work on Iran next, get Putin in check, let us get our trade deficits in check. How about we start looking at balancing the budget and getting rid of our debt and enjoying the quality of life? If you could do that, man, you could have all the hookers you want. I don't really care. Oh, Kevin, that's not the Christian thing to do. Yeah, judge not and you shall not be judged. What do you mean that's not the Christian thing to do? I didn't hire Donald Trump to be president so I could determine how his lifestyle was going to be. Let me tell you, he's always wanting to have people pray over him, so good for him. He's a failed, flawed individual just like all of us. But these people want to get him, and they're betting the farm on the idea that this porn star is going to bring down Donald Trump just like the Billy Bush tape. How ironic was it that Billy Bush was the one talking about Trump grabbing people by the, you know? Oh, man, Avenatti. He worked on political campaigns of over 150 Democrats, including national campaigns. When he wasn't busy suing Donald Trump and the Apprentice producer Mark Barnett for intellectual property infractions, this is a guy who has an axe to grind with Donald Trump. And the Democrats have put their fate in his hands. Here's his biography. While in college and later in law school, Michael worked at a political opposition research and media firm run by Rahm Emanuel, who later became White House Chief of Staff and is presently mayor of Chicago. During his time there, Michael worked on over 150 campaigns in 42 states, including multiple gubernatorial and congressional campaigns. In other words, Joe Biden's U.S. Senate campaign. So, the guy who wrote this, True Pundit, said there's a thin line between porn star and ambulance chasing attorney. And I agree with him. But I want you to have the facts. And I'm going to tell you something. The overwhelming majority of you don't care. That I was looking at the polls on different things, and Russia was 1%. Stormy Daniels is less than that.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody. Hillary said she's sorry if women misinterpreted her quote, saying that women only voted for Trump because her husbands, sons, and other men in their lives told them to. I don't know about you ladies, but I don't know how to misconstrue that. Please elaborate, Hillary. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. You heard the quote. The reason why these women, particularly white women, voted was because their husbands and their sons and other men in their lives told them to. I mean, come on, ladies. How condescending. How condescending. Now, what's funny is that's what black leftists say. This is the reason why I voted. Because some white person told me to, because I'm stepping and fetching it. So that's why I had to do it. I say to them, the reason why they vote Democrat isn't because somebody's telling them. It's because they've been indoctrinated and they're just too stupid. But that's different. I'm not saying, oh, yeah, some white dude got a gun to your head and he's making you go do it. No, I'm just saying you're too ignorant to have looked beyond the rhetoric and had the guts to say You know what? I'm tired of you people trying to influence me, and start questioning things. Because if you questioned it, you would go, ain't no way I'm voting for them KKK starting, slavery holding, anti-civil rights Democrats, who, by the way, still want to kill black people at a more efficiently and smoothly than at any time in history. No way will I vote for them. How does the left think they're going to recover from this? If you're a young woman, and I would really like to know, I would love to get some millennial ladies to call the program, 844-551-8255, and tell me your thoughts on this. What did you think if you heard this? What did you think when you heard that the reason why you voted was some man in your life said you needed to do that or else? It reminds me of this joke that Chris Rock was telling. He was like, women should rule the world. You're the majority of people. You are level-headed. You are smarter than men. You are less aggressive, and confrontational than men. So why don't you rule the world? And his joke is, because we can knock you out. Men can knock you out. So if that's the joke, which, by the way, wouldn't go over very well these days, but if that's the joke of it, and men are smart enough to go, well, I'm not going to be hitting on a woman, right? And you don't do it. You take that out of the picture. Why don't women rule the world? I could go a step further and tell you that it's a joke that says women have the most, amazing real estate on the planet. And again, like I've told many a lesbian, if you wanted me to take, what you have and use it, I will be, I'll be ruling a country within, within a year. I would be, Kevin is the queen of blankety blank country. I'd have men eating out of my hand. You just have to know what your gifts are. And I don't know about women. I don't know how much study they've done, but I know men. I know them pretty well. And a woman who knows how to use her femininity is the most powerful weapon on the planet. That's why, I've said many times, I don't understand it either, but I don't understand it. I do understand it. I know why women don't rule the world. It's because a handful of them are the ones who dictate how the majority of women act. There's a handful of them that say, your femininity stinks. And I'll tell you, that handful of women are crazy. Your femininity is the thing that God gave you that makes you have dominion over man. You don't have power over man, but you have dominion over man. I'm preaching to the ladies right now. And they know. There's some of them going, Kevin's right. He's exactly right. A woman would be crazy to say, I want a man that I can overpower. Don't misunderstand me. They can exist because maybe your girl, I got a friend his wife is like a 3rd or 4th degree black belt. If they throw down, she's going to whoop him. Now, to look at her, you wouldn't think it, but she loves training in the martial arts. I know a lot of these types of women. But as a rule, and there's a part of me that believes that even with those black belt women that they wish their husbands were to get black belts so they could go back to being the real true, quote, man of the house. But it's okay. Those women are they're very interesting studies, so to say. But the average woman wants a guy to be the protector, but she knows how to have dominion over him, no matter how powerful he is. Look, I have friends that will break your neck with a stare. I'm talking about some of the baddest dudes in the world are personal friends of mine. Some of them you don't even know. You think, the baddest guys are in UFC and all that. Not hogwash. The baddest guys on the planet, you don't even know them. And I'm telling you, their daughters, their wives make them crumble. Crumble. Dudes, if you say, Kevin, pick your team to go to war, I would grab some of the baddest guys you've ever seen in your life. And I've watched them crumble with their daughters over an issue with a daughter or an issue with their mother or an issue with their wives. What are you talking about? Disrespecting women. Women are powerful. amazingly so. And so much more. The abilities of a woman compared to a guy. If I'm going to go fight a battle, a philosophical battle, like a mental battle, I'm grabbing some women. I ain't grabbing Navy SEALs and some of these head busters I know. I'm going to grab women and go, no, Kevin, don't go that route. That person there is not going to be, like if I'm picking a jury, I know Dr. Phil's good at it, but give me a woman. I want a woman picking my juries because she'll look and go, nah, that one there, too much emotional content, Kevin. I've seen women like her. I've seen guys like him. Huh? I mean, Dr. Phil was good at it. They got a new TV show called Bull. I don't know how new it is, but they got a show called Bull that's built around Dr. Phil. By the way, do you guys know how much money Dr. Phil makes? How much money do you think Judge Judy makes? This is going to shock you. I know it's off subject, but it's just fun. $45 million a year. Judge Judy. Dr. Phil, $120-something million a year. Wow. I'm in the wrong profession. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. Cambridge Analytics is what I want to cover when we come back. Glad you guys are here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Cambridge Analytics is in the news, and this story cracks me up. I love this story because it is so convoluted, and it is going to be such a thrill to watch it all shake out. Yet again, we find leftism spinning on itself. You're listening to the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. Cambridge Analytics was apparently hired by the Trump campaign to work with Facebook to start petitions, gather data, and get the Trump campaign going. Now, it's working with the most leftist social media platform on the planet. I mean, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, but Facebook is the leader. Most people get their news from it. Facebook loves that kind of business. They got paid to do this report. Cambridge Analytics said, here's a bunch of money. We're going to do some surveys, blah, blah, blah. They did the surveys. And I'm going to let you hear the clip. It's about 3 minutes long, but it'll shed a lot of light on this. And it's such a perfect setup for the kill, because I'm going to give you the kill shot on leftism as soon as you know the story, because it is a big deal. Now they want the world to believe that Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, one of the most lefty guys on the planet, probably has never had a meeting with President Trump, has met multiple times with Barack Obama, is completely dyed in the wool as a leftist, and they want you to believe he conspired with the Trump campaign. Maybe he's even tied to the Russian bots. Don't be surprised if they don't offer that theory up. Here's a clip.
Facebook is under fire and facing growing outrage over the misuse of data from some 50 million users and its possible impact on the 2016 presidential election. The whistleblower who brought this to light is with us for an exclusive live interview. But first, NBC national correspondent Peter Alexander with the latest. Peter, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. This morning, that whistleblower, a former insider at the British-based company, is revealing new details about exactly how he says his old firm helped fuel support for Donald Trump's campaign during the 2016 election. He says the company secretly accessed personal information from those 50 million Facebook users, many of them Americans, turning their profiles into what were effectively unique political weapons. Now Facebook says it's trying to make sure that data is never used again. This morning, this whistleblower insists he's pulling back the veil, revealing what he calls the secret campaign strategy to manipulate Facebook users ahead of the 2016 election.
It's coercive. People don't know that it's being done.
Speaking to our British TV partner, ITN Channel 4, Christopher Wiley says his former company, Cambridge Analytica, obtained personal data of tens of millions of Facebook users without their consent. The goal, to help Republican presidential candidates.
We were able to get upwards of 50 million plus Facebook records in the span of a couple months.
How'd they do it? Beginning in 2014, many Facebook users were paid to take a personality test funded by Cambridge Analytica, agreeing to give up some personal data. But Wiley says what they didn't know at the same time, the company was scooping up all of their friends' private information too. So a survey that started with about 270,000 people ultimately collected more than 50 million profiles.
Thank you.
For political operatives like Steve Bannon, who became a director at Cambridge Analytica and who would eventually help run Donald Trump's campaign, all that personal data about potential voters was a gold mine.
Steve wanted weapons for his culture war. That's what he wanted. And we offered him a way to accomplish what he wanted to do, which was change the culture of America.
Facebook learned its data was being shared in 2015 and asked Cambridge Analytica to delete the data. But Wiley says Facebook never checked to make sure that happened. Now Congress wants answers, with at least one Democratic senator demanding Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg testify. These latest revelations, another damaging headline for Facebook, already under fire over its role in the spread of Russian propaganda during the campaign. The company telling NBC News that it remains committed to vigorously enforcing our policies to protect people's information. Facebook has suspended Cambridge Analytica and its parent company. They've also blocked Wiley, who Facebook says is refusing to cooperate until his suspension is lifted. For its part, Cambridge Analytica calls Wiley a disgruntled former contractor who's trying to damage the company and says that it complies with Facebook's terms of service.
So you got the gist of it, right? Now, here's a report I'm reading from, and here's what it says. Amid the fallout over the revelation that a political consulting firm, Cambridge Analytica, obtained personal data from more than 50 million Facebook users without their permission, Facebook and some of its executives objected to the use of the phrase data breach to describe the controversy. Because, and rightfully so, Facebook should be objecting to this. It was not a data breach. They contracted with Cambridge Analytics, who ran a survey, and that survey reached supposedly, according to that, what you just heard, 270,000 people. But it then reached the people behind them. So it would say, hey, Kevin, you want to take this survey? And I say, sure, let's take the survey. In some kind of way, maybe it let those other people do the survey as well. So anybody taking the survey, if you read the fine print, was saying it's okay for you, from you to give the data, for them to gather the data on those 270,000 people. But when they extended it, and this is smart, they're saying, hey, by the way, you can thread this through 6 degrees of separation and hitting it in multiple people. Well, in doing 270,000, they were able to find 50,000 people on Facebook who are apparently pro-Trump. Now, are these all Americans? We don't know. Are they from Sri Lanka? We don't know. Are they Guatemalan midgets? Of course they are, because all the Guatemalan midgets voted for Trump. I did that. You're welcome, Donald. So however that all came to be, that's how they got the data. It wasn't them hacking into Facebook's data and stealing it and doing something else. They contracted with Facebook. Now, the company says, look, we didn't do anything wrong. And the only reason why there's a hoopla over this, I promise you, is because Donald Trump won. If Donald Trump lost, we're not talking about this story. Anyway, Nicholas Thompson, a CBS News contributor and editor-in-chief of Wired magazine, said that Facebook was very upset about the use of the word breach, and that's the word that the British newspaper The Guardian used when they broke the story. And they've continued to refer to this as a breach in subsequent stories. And it's very different than Target and all these other guys who had their data stolen, etc. And I can only imagine what Facebook is doing and the minds that they have working to keep that data, siloed and away from other people. Because I know what we have to do at Tea Party Community. And for those of you who are going, Kevin, this is a great opportunity for teapartycommunity.org. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. We're working on it. Go over there, guys, and start playing around, because this is what happens with Facebook. But this has nothing to do with the data breach. And I promise you, this story gets even better. So long story short, they said the reporting exposed how Facebook users' data was initially obtained through an app that collected information on the people who took the personality quiz and all their Facebook friends, supposedly for academic research purposes. Well, it is academic research. Who knows what they want to do with this data after the fact? They said the data was then provided to Cambridge Analytica, which helped the Trump campaign during the 2016 presidential primaries. Congratulations to Donald Trump and his team. There's more when we come back, I promise. It'll blow your mind.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
And so Facebook continues to cry like little babies. We didn't have a data breach. Glad you guys are here. Donald Trump stole Facebook's data. That's what they want you to be. First of all, what's funny about this to me, then you're listening to the Kevin Jackson Show. I'm Kevin Jackson. Is Facebook is saying it wasn't a data breach. But then they want to also say, but Trump stole our data. So which is it? Facebook Vice President Andrew Bosworth defended the company, denied any data breach took place. This was unequivocally not a data breach, Bosworth said. People chose to share their data with third-party apps. And if those third-party apps did not follow the data agreements with us, users, it is a violation. No systems were infiltrated. No passwords or information were stolen or hacked. Okay, it's even worse than we thought. You allowed it. This article goes on and says, Facebook is portraying itself as shocked after a whistleblower is exposing just how easy the social network makes it for firms like his employer, Cambridge Analytica, to take the user's private data and exploit it in virtually unlimited ways. The person who's the, quote, whistleblower is a leftist. This whistleblower would never have said a word under two circumstances. One, if Donald Trump had lost, and two, if Hillary Clinton had won. Which I know is technically one thing, but I just like having fun with you. But get this. According to Barack Obama's former digital director, the social network told the campaign they knew its users' data was being improperly seized by the campaign in 2012, but they chose to look the other way because Facebook supports Obama. So, hey, Feinstein, when you call Zuckerberg to testify, let's make sure we bring that little factoid up. Were you guys aware of this? Look, I get it. I'm not bringing you breaking news all the time, but I'll tell you this. This, to me, is an interesting part of the saga, not because of what you know, but because of what it makes you have to dig deeper and think about. See, we're talking about lots of collusion. Collusion in campaigns. Essentially, what Donald Trump's campaign is being accused of is using Facebook to further its cause. Now, Hillary Clinton gets a convenient excuse to say, well, now we've learned that Zuckerberg helped Donald Trump to beat me. Ha! No. Donald Trump just beat Hillary Clinton. The idea that Facebook would do anything proactively to help Trump is redonky-donk. It is not even remotely possible. We know all these social media platforms, they hate us. Don't tell them I told you. They hate us. They hate conservatives. And they don't hate you because you're, human or when they see you, they don't know you. It's when they find out you're conservative. You know what you do? You trigger this emotion in them that says, you know me to be a liar and a cheat and a scoundrel. Therefore, I must hate you. You bring out that thing in them that they know that, it's like, I don't know how you've ever, if you've ever done something wrong to somebody or, feel, and you're in their presence, it's almost like you have to, oh gosh, I'm going to be around that person. Now, you as a conservative, you probably go, God, I hate having to go face this person. And you want to go confront him. Hey, Bill, you got a minute? And you want to apologize. Leftists will try to conspire. They'll say, hey, Chuck, why'd you bring Bill? I mean, Bill seems like a nice guy, man. I mean, what's your beef with Bill? He's a scoundrel, man. They will do the opposite. They will actually make the good guy the bad guy just to cover up from themselves. Y'all think I'm lying? Ask yourselves. You know situations like this. People that you've worked with, people that you know, God forbid, family members that are that way. You know them. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So, these guys will they want to make Trump and his team the scoundrel. But here's the deal. Facebook allowed Barack Obama. They wanted Barack Obama to win his contest, his presidency, and they worked with him. They made sure Barack Obama got that data. This techie that turned whistleblower, his name is Christopher Wiley, said Cambridge Analytica was able to create a personality profile users voluntarily took, but which inadvertently gave access to the quiz taker's entire social network. The survey that began with 270,000 people ultimately ended up collecting data on 50 million people. Now here's the thing. That's just presuming that everybody you're connected to is a Trump supporter. I'm sure the majority of them are, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here. All of them are not. There were many, many people. I don't know when all this occurred, but there were many people during that process that were not pro-Trump. They might be conservative, but they were Ted Cruz or Rand Paul or Carly Fiorina or whomever, right? And so you can't just presume that everybody was for Trump. Anyway, Facebook said this. They said this mass collection of its users' data violated its terms and asked Cambridge Analytica to delete the data. But Wiley says Facebook never checked to make sure that happened. But I go back to 2012, where Barack Obama's campaign pioneered the exploitation of Facebook. They literally harvested this information from people with the absolute knowledge by Facebook that it was happening. The co-founder, Engage DC, Patrick Ruffini, who covered the story at the time, detailed how the campaign tricked users into unwittingly forking over to the campaign data on their peers. Ruffini posted a graphic from his original report that detailed how Facebook's data helped the Obama campaign. The former director of Obama's For America Integration and Media Analytics, Carol Davidson, candidly admitted that Facebook acknowledged letting their campaign improperly access its users' data. And here's the quote. Facebook was surprised we were able to suck out the whole social graph, but they didn't stop us once they realized what we were doing. She wrote this after the Cambridge Analytica story broke. Here's what she says. She went on to say this. They came to the office in the days following the election recruiting and were very candid that they allowed us to do things that they wouldn't have allowed someone else to do because they were on our side. Now, I'm not saying that's Zuckerberg, but whoever was in that meeting was definitely friendly to the Obama campaign. Now, I also know that Zuckerberg has had multiple meetings with Obama. We got pictures of it. All these different summits and let's get together to do this. Facebook allowed the Obama campaign to do this. The project was called Targus, and Time magazine covered it at the time. So you're getting a picture of what Facebook was willing to do for Obama but wouldn't do for Trump. Their attitude toward the Trump-aligned Cambridge Analytica was very different. And after news reports surfaced last week that showed how Cambridge Analytica was able to exploit Facebook banned them, and they banned Wiley from the platform as well. In 2005, we learned that a psychology professor at the University of Cambridge named Dr. Alexander Kogan lied to us and violated our platform policies by passing data from an app that was using Facebook login to SCL Cambridge Analytica, a firm that does political, government, and military work around the globe, Facebook wrote. This is what they wrote in a post. He also passed that data to Christopher Wiley of Unoya Technologies. Several days ago, we received reports that contrary to the certifications we were given, not all data was deleted. We are moving aggressively to determine the accuracy of these claims. If true, this is another unacceptable violation of trust and commitments they've made. We are suspending SCL Cambridge Analytica, Wiley, and Kogan from Facebook, pending further information. Now, let me tell you something. That is a cover. Facebook's going to have a difficult time with this, and I hope Cambridge Analytica sues them, and I hope they sue them into oblivion, because what people have gone on record to say they allowed Barack Obama to do, they now claim, oh, you know what, we've changed our policies or whatever. No, they haven't changed their policies. And Zuckerberg can run around the country pretending that he's Mr. I want the internet to be fair, and I want Facebook to be blah, blah. He does not care about Facebook's fairness. He cares about making money and doing things that promote progressive agenda, the progressive agenda, which is nothing but nonsense. And that is his one goal. Look at what's happening to conservatives on Facebook to this day, and why I have meetings with them that are calling me saying, Kevin, can we migrate over to teapartycommunity.org? You better be doing it too. If you're currently doing anything with Facebook, understand what their goal is, what their mission is, and maybe you'll move it over. Got a ton more to talk about. Keep it here.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Yeah, there's a guy in Hollywood. His name is Jeffrey Tambor. I don't know if you're going to remember him, but he was the guy that was a sidekick of Gary Shandling on the Gary Shandling Show. Gary Shandling died not too long ago. And Jeffrey Tambor sort of played the Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson. That's how the show was. It was a show about Gary Shandling being a TV host. And the whole thing was all his insecurities and what have you. And Jeffrey Tambor being his sidekick, great role for him. But he's an amazing actor, good actor. He was in The Accountant with Ben Affleck, if you saw that film, and he played a role of a guy who was in prison that trained Ben Affleck's character on how to launder money for the mob and how to, make sure he never got caught and all these different things. But he's a bit actor that you've seen in many things. He's got a very distinctive, deep voice and certainly a distinctive look. And no controversy around this man whatsoever. He's even he had a role. I never watched the show, and I don't even know the name of the show. I know it's in the article I'm about to share with you. But Tambor, I think he played a transvestite in this role. Now, I didn't see the show, but I'll tell you this. There's hardly a role that I've seen that man play that I wasn't just like, he really did a good job. We give actors a lot of credit, and I'm not telling you the guy's a De Niro, but he reminds me of Nick Searcy. If you don't know who Nick is a staunch conservative and does a lot of bit roles, but does an amazing job. He's just a very talented man, but understated, never going to be considered a De Niro or Denzel Washington or somebody like that, but really good. Tambor's along those lines. Now, this all goes back into the Me Too stuff. And I know women get mad at me when I call their hashtag Me Too movement a farce. Not conservative women. You ladies are fine. The leftist women, they send me you don't know nothing about Me Too until you walked a mile in my shoes. Why would I walk a mile in your shoes? I'd have to be on, I'd have to be on a street corner, walking up and down the block, if you know what I'm saying. I don't want to walk a minute in your shoes. Leftist women. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I do not deny that women are victims of sexual harassment, just not Hollywood women. See, those women are lying scum. I know there's going to be people mad at me. Kevin, come on, you can't be using that language against women. Those are the women. Let me tell you why I call them scum. They do damages to the women who are truly victims of sexual harassment or worse. But these lying scumbags, Holly weirdo chicks, really want to accomplish the ruinization of men. That's what they want. If they were legit, if you are a woman and you have been sexually harassed or sexually abused, you will find no bigger, stronger champion than Kevin Jackson. By the way, this is a Kevin Jackson show. KJRadio.com. You can give us a call at 844-551-8255 if you want to chime in on this topic and chastise me for using scum when I talk about Holly weirdo women. But just understand, I'm going to fire back at you. Harvey Weinstein notwithstanding, most men in Hollywood do little to get women to throw themselves at them. And as one might surmise from a mere glance at Weinstein, you don't have to be a looker to get the chicks. You know what I'm saying? The dude is not very handsome. But what makes Weinstein's crimes so disgusting is that he need do nothing to get the best females on the planet to throw themselves at him. That's the truth. See, Weinstein didn't want those women, the ones that were like, Harvey, I'll do anything. He wanted to demoralize women. And by the way, I think his company, they've now officially are looking for bankruptcy protection and all that. Good for them, because they're going to need it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you saw Weinstein's wife. Beautiful lady. You think she would have married him if he weren't a very popular Hollywood producer, director, whatever they call themselves? Or that she would have stayed with him had it not been for his ability to make Hollywood overlook his obvious flaws? Why do you think that woman was with this man? I'm not trying to say everybody's superficial, because I know they're not. And I hope that they're not. I hope people judge people from, the things that they bring to their lives. and not just, oh, that person's really pretty. I know a lot of people with one of my good buddies from high school. He married a Playboy bunny. It was one of his goals, and he's in prison, and she's an alcoholic. And she, by the way, the reason he's in prison is because him trying to keep her happy. That's how it doesn't always work out that way. Anyway, why did I bring up Jeffrey Tambor? Because Jeffrey Tambor is finally speaking out. He got accused of sexual harassment. And men, look, the reason why I'm going to cover this topic to the day that, I probably leave radio or the day I die is I'm sick of the feminist movement that is doing nothing but demonizing men, making people believe that we are the scum of the earth, when in fact, I know we're not. There are many great men out there, and they're being accused of things that they haven't done, and it's all because of some agenda of the women's movement. If you say to me, Kevin, a feminist were to come to me and say, Kevin, we want to find the true people who are, doing bad things to women, hurting them, hurting their careers, etc. I promise you, I would sign up with them in an instant. That's not their goal. Their goal is to destroy men at all costs. And so many good people are getting caught up in it. So Tambor spoke out. Amazon confirmed to ET not long ago that he's not going to be returning to a role that's called transparent. Jeffrey Tambor, this is, after he was accused of sexual harassment by his former assistant, Van Barnes, and his co-star, Tracy Lissette. Now, hours after that accusation, Tambor released a statement expressing his disappointment in Amazon and Transparent's co-creator, Jill Soloway, for the decision. And here's what he said. I am profoundly disappointed in Amazon's handling of these false accusations against me. I'm even more disappointed in Jill Soloway's unfair characterization of me as someone who would ever cause harm to any of my fellow castmates. In our 4-year history of working together on this incredible show, these accusations have never been revealed or discussed directly with me or anyone in Amazon. Therefore, I can only surmise that the investigation against me was deeply flawed and biased towards the toxic, politicized atmosphere that affected our set. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I bet you money Jeffrey Tambor, they found out, wasn't a pure liberal. And here's the real irony of this thing. Transparent, he plays a I don't know if it's transgender or clothic. Cross-dresser. I don't know whether it is, but the theme of the show is he's a trans. And the only reason why I know this is I remember seeing like an advertisement and he was in a woman's dress. He was in women's makeup and stuff. Anyway, he goes on to say this. As I've consistently stated, I deeply regret if any action of mine was ever misinterpreted by anyone, and I will continue to vehemently defend myself. I also deeply regret that this groundbreaking show, which changed so many lives, is now in jeopardy. That, to me, is the biggest heartbreak. Look, I don't know what to say because I think the trans thing is so overblown, and it's now the new, soup of the day or, whatever. It's the issue du jour, and so people are, fixated on the transgender people, which I crack up secretly. Well, not so secretly because I've said it on the show that there is no such thing as a trans person to begin with, because a man cannot become a woman and a woman cannot become a man. Period. Endo story. Endo facto. You just can't. You can think you are, and that's cool. If it makes people feel better to believe that I'm a man and I transferred into a woman, or I'm a woman who transferred into a man, congratulations to them, but neither one has occurred. I'm just saying, biologically speaking, it hasn't occurred. If you check their DNA, there's still going to be a woman and this guy's still going to be a man. Endo facto. Endo storio. That's just the way it works. Now, we can talk about the psychological aspects of it. I'm happy to talk about that all day, but a woman converted to a man is not going to father a child, and a man converted to a woman is not going to mother a child, not going to bring one to bear. And you can shoot them up with all the hormones you want. So if there's something wrong with my story here, if you don't believe it, then let's talk about it. But here's the tragedy is that, yet again, another guy is career in ruins over BS.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.